I'm going to talk about a number of books that we've discovered in recent years as we now journey as grandparents. Most of these have been recommended by our own children who have discovered them for their children. The first one is entitled Everything a Child Should Know About God by Kenneth Taylor. This is literally a book of systematic theology for our children. It is illustrated beautifully and written with biblical truths in a way that a child can understand. So it's equipping our children to begin thinking biblically even when they're young. This is a great resource. This one, When I Pray for You by Matthew Paul Turner, is just the sweetest book of a parent's prayerful heart for their child from the time they're born until they're launched. And it goes through all the different seasons of life of the things that they're praying for that child, for their character development, their kindness to people, their understanding of God's love for them. Just a very, very sweet book that I love reading to our grandchildren. This one, The Garden, the Curtain, and the Cross, is another excellent resource as we want to communicate the true gospel message to our children. The author is Carl Lafferton, and he takes us from the beginning, the garden, to sin entering the world, the curtain, to the cross, Jesus' redemptive death on the cross for us to be in relationship with him. And it's beautifully illustrated also and communicates the great story of which we are all part. The garden, the curtain, and the cross. If you have a little bit older children, I'm going to recommend just a number of series of chapter books that can be read aloud as a family, or if they're really eager readers, they certainly can read them themselves. The first one I was going to mention was the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, and unfortunately I've given all of my copies of that series away. So it's probably not unfamiliar to you, but if your child is mid-elementary school or older, that's just a fabulous read aloud series. There are 7 books in it, and I remember during the children's elementary years us reading those as a family, and they spawned not only a curiosity for God's truth that's found in that allegorical presentation, but it spawned a lot of creative imagination for them. They played Chronicles of Narnia over and over again through those years. Ella Montgomery, the author of Anne of Green Gables, is another one of my favorite authors, and there are 7 or 8 books in her series. Most of us are only familiar with the first 3, but she develops a life of Anne in these. These are, again, we read these aloud as a family and thoroughly enjoyed them. Of course, Laura Ingalls Wilder, the Little House series, the Little House in the Big Woods, and all the rest of them. We also use these as read aloud books for our family. And then maybe lesser known to some, Margaret Henry's Misty of Chincoteague, the series of the wild horses that live off the North Carolina coastline. We had one daughter who was really into horses, and she just loved these books. So those are just a few of my suggestions. I'm sure that you have many of your own, but my plea to you is read. Turn off the electronics and dust off the bookshelves and read. Read aloud, have quiet time where you're individually reading. This is something I think we've moved so far away from in our culture, but is so critically important for our own development and understanding and acquiring knowledge and wisdom. So thank you for tuning in to these book reviews, and have a great day.